Number 1. Something terrifying happened to me today. I was staying in a hotel about 275 miles from my home. I've been in the city for a couple of days now, but we just switched up hotels last night due to the fact that the other one was mold infested and gross. Anyways, we're here to drop off my brother off at college, and tonight was his last night with us before we left. We decided to have a silly string fight in the hotel parking lot and run around the outside of the hotel and just fun, stupid teenager things. Somebody was standing on top of the stairs that lead to the second floor of the hotel, watching and staring at us. No big deal though. We were pretty loud and obnoxious. My brother and my mum left to bring my brother back to his dorm room. I decided to stay behind at the hotel room, as all I've been doing for the past 3 days was riding in a car, and I needed a break. So I stayed behind and I was on the phone with my friend, Adrian. So here I am, talking to Adrian on the phone, when all of a sudden someone knocks on the door, the same exact way that my mum does. We have one of those secret knocks. And I was about to swing open the door per usual, as I was 99% certain that it was my mother. But something told me to look out of the peephole for some reason. And the person standing outside my hotel room was definitely not my mum. In fact, it was the same person watching us earlier on top of the stairs. I'm very paranoid, so obviously I didn't answer the door. I start freaking out and talking to Adrian really quietly, and the person then yells, "Open this fucking door!" and starts banging harder on the door. I sit there talking quietly to Adrian for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then I slowly walk back up to the door and go to look through the peephole when this person slams their body weight against the door and starts viciously shaking the handle. At this point, I text my brother on Snapchat at least 30 times to come back to the hotel. He says they're about 10 minutes away and to just sit tight, and that he's coming back. He does. But by the time they get back, the person is gone. But this isn't where the story ends. Last night, I went to the front desk as we were leaving to go to take my brother back to his dorm. I decided to go with them this time when they came back to the hotel. Before we left, I told the staff that if anyone asked for a key card to my room, to not give it to them. As with this hotel, they don't require any ID or proof of you being in that room. You just ask for a key to room X and they give it to you. Apparently, my paranoia paid off, because according to the front desk clerk, the same person came back and asked for a key to my room. I'm not sure what would have happened if I would have opened that door, or if they would have managed to obtain a key to my room. And I don't want to find out either. Number 2. The hotel I worked at was small, only 53 rooms in the entire place. It's located next to downtown in a town central in Minnesota. As a night audit, you worked by yourself with the shift being from 11 PM to 7 AM. You don't get many people checking into the hotel at night, 3 at the most. The first duty as the night audit was to lock the doors so only guests could get in with their key. There is also a phone on the wall next to the main entrance, in case someone arrives after the doors are locked, or somebody orders pizza or what have you. And there is a front door in the lobby, a back door in the lobby, and 2 side doors. I proceeded to lock all of the doors and head into the back room behind the front desk to do laundry. As there are no staff on hand to do the laundry, another task for the night audit is to finish any remaining laundry that wasn't finished during the day. There is a cordless phone that you can bring with you when you go into the back or around the other parts of the hotel. We had no more scheduled check-ins that night, but there was a couple of rooms available. I heard somebody try open the front door, but was unsuccessful and left. Moments later, the phone rang, and when I answered, the other person did not talk right away. I walked up to the front desk and the person finally started to talk. They went on a spiel that they were a former cop. And forgive me, this part is a bit fuzzy, and I blacked out due to the fear. But they went on to say something about having a court order in the morning, and if they weren't let in, that they were gonna come in and shoot me, and that they were circling the hotel. There are windows that look out to the front of the hotel that are visible from the computer that I had walked to during the phone call. I told them that I was sorry, that we didn't have any rooms available, and they hung up before I even finished my sentence. I looked out of the window, and there was a person standing across the street staring back at me with a phone in their hand. At this point, I'm really freaking out, and I go to all the doors to double check that they were all locked. It was a good thing I checked, because one of the side doors had been propped open with a doorstop. Obviously, I shut the door and proceeded to go to a conference room with sight of where the person was standing. I kept the lights off and peeked through the blinds, but the person was gone. I was pretty freaked out the rest of the night because there are windows pretty much everywhere in this hotel. So if this person was watching me, they would have been able to do it all night if they wanted to. Thankfully, nothing happened after that, but it certainly freaked me out for a while.
Number 3.
So, this is back in 2013. I get a ride to my friend Kathy's house on a Friday night, thinking I'm staying there. Well, lack of communication between two 19-year-old girls is lacking, and she thought that she was staying at my place. So, here we were on a playground trying to find something to do, or somewhere to be for the night. She remembers this cute guy who gave her his number as a customer at work. His name is Jack. So she texts him, and he agrees to hang out. Since I'm with her, he brings along his cousin, Timmy. The plan is, she's with Jack, my date is Timmy. They pull up, two fairly skinny Italian fellows. They are both wearing white V-necks, black skinny jeans, and cowboy boots. And Timmy had on a Gucci scarf. I live in New Hampshire. So we get in the truck, one cab, and we're all squished in. We decide we're going to a hotel for the night. In the truck, this song that I love comes on, and I exclaim that I love it. Timmy changes it. Okay. We got to a Holiday Inn and get to the room. We're in our respective pairs and hanging out for the night. There's just a really weird vibe coming from them, as if they are always whispering without saying a word to each other, just glances. So we turn on the TV. A show comes on that I love, and I say, "Oh, this one's awesome." Timmy changes it. Okay, bro, getting really annoyed here. On the other bed, Jack is trying to get with Kathy, asking her to take off her sweatshirt, cuddle, etc. And she's uncomfortable, and is warding him off as best as she can. I, on the other hand, am giving this asshole Timmy a back rub, despite him being seemingly rude. Eventually, we fall asleep, all of us. Here comes the morning. Kathy and I are awake, but acting like we're asleep as the cousins get up. We can hear them talking. Jack says,
"I don't know, man. She wouldn't give it up. And her friend's here. I can't try it."
Timmy replies,
"Yeah, I couldn't touch the other one, man. So any jail time wouldn't be worth it."
They both agreed to go to the lobby and get breakfast. As soon as the other door closed, Kathy and I shot up and got out of there. As soon as we left the room and made it to the door of the stairwell, we heard voices behind us talking about dumping the girls. They turned a corner and didn't even see us as we flew down the stairwell out the back door and hugged the building. We had no ride, nowhere to go, but we didn't care. We needed to get out. We ended up finding a honeydew donut, and I'm sitting with my back to the window, drinking a coffee, Kathy facing me, when she tells me to get up against the wall. And there they are, pulling out of the hotel. After they passed, we sat back down. And then they called, 15 minutes after they pulled out. In additional to those 15 minutes, they were in the room for about an hour. It's not like they gave a damn where we were. I ended up calling my brother to pick us up, and all was well. Fast forward 2 months later, Kathy sends me a link to the local newspaper about 2 cousins who had abducted a mentally challenged girl, got her drunk, raped, and beat her, and then left her on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere to essentially rot. And what do you know? It's those 2 same cousins that we spent the night with. And at least in their mugshots, they're not wearing matching outfits anymore. In short, that could have been Kathy and I. It's the only time I have ever been thankful for being considered unattractive.
Number 4.
I work as a night auditor for a rather large international chain of hotels. It's a good job. Boring, easy, and the pay is far from mediocre for a college student. When I got in tonight, the second shift guys told me to be on the lookout for a man connected to a stabbing earlier in the day. I shrugged it off. The hotel was located in a rather safe spot. They intersect between city and the county patrol, so you'd see a marked car just about every hour. I wasn't worried about this man running into my hotel at all. I guess that's how most of these start off, isn't it? I wasn't worried about, maybe I should have given a bit more head to my fellow associates' warning. About 2 hours ago, I was enjoying the isolation of the back room. The door locked, the CCTV on one screen, and Netflix on the other. When, all of a sudden, from the corner of my eye, I see somebody walk right in front of camera 3, which is located at the front door. Great, a customer. No, I wish. So here's the backstory. The man was drunk, wrecked his car, called a tow truck, and stabbed the driver in the neck for some reason. The guy then proceeds to evade police for well over 30 miles in a gigantic pink tow truck. So I reckon he parked it somewhere nearby and decided a hotel is a great place to lay low. He walked straight in. I met him at the front desk, sweating bullets, but maintaining my cool a tad bit. I let the guy check in, and even though his card declined, I gave him his room key and watched him go up on the cameras until I was sure that he was in the room. The police are standing in the lobby as I type this. The man did get arrested that night.
Number 5.
A few years ago, my friend and I were staying in a hotel at a horse show that we were competing in. We were probably only 14 or 15, so her mum was staying with us too. I remember it being a sketchy hotel. We even brought sleeping bags and our own pillows, because it didn't seem clean. One night, my friend Megan and I went to the hot tub without her mother to unwind after a long day. When we got there was a man sitting in a chair by the pool, fully clothed. I didn't pay much attention to him, but it only occurred to me later how weird it was that he was there with all of his clothes on when my friend and I were only the other people there. Almost immediately after Megan and I got there, before we even got into the hot tub, we got up and left. And maybe 10 minutes later, these 2 girls that look a little older than us, maybe 17 to 18, come in and sit in the hot tub with us. Megan and I don't think anything of it, and just keep talking about our day, until one of the girls catches on that we're talking about a horse show, and says something along the lines of, Cool, so you're staying at this hotel? And we said yes, we were here for a 3-day event. And from there, the girls make small talk with us. And at some point, Megan mentioned that we were there with her mother. And there was nothing weird about anything the girls said. It was just weird that they were talking to us since they were obviously older and we didn't know them. Eventually though, they invited us back to their hotel room. Megan and I were understandably apprehensive and said that we had to get up early, so we were going to bed soon. The girls were persistent, saying we could come and hang out and that we were looking to meet some new friends, which seemed weird since, like I said, it was a dumpy hotel in the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin. Not exactly the place you take a vacation with your friend and try to meet new people. They even said we could stay over with them, so we wouldn't have to go back and sleep with Megan's mum. Megan and I were insisting that we had a long day and just wanted to go to bed and not hang out. But eventually we just left because the girls wouldn't stop talking about it. At the time, Megan and I decided not to tell her mum because we realized it was a weird situation and didn't want her mum to ban us from going to the hot tub alone. It wasn't until years later that I realized it could have been a human trafficking scheme because of the strange man that was there at first and the girls' persistence to get us back to their rooms. It still makes my skin crawl.
Number 6.
This is one of the oddest things I've ever witnessed, and although I wasn't this weirdo's target, it was still awfully creepy to see. And on a road trip to Florida with my best friend Carl and my parents, we decided to stop over at a cheap hotel in West Virginia to sleep for the night. We got there at about 10 p.m. and being two teenage girls who'd been sitting in a car for the last day, we were still wound up. We explored, running into this group of guys with thick southern accents. They tried their hand at awkward teenage flirting before giving up. I will never forget Carl's excuse for not giving her number. She told them that she'd accidentally microwaved her phone last month. So, we just parted ways, knowing they were normal, albeit awkward teenage boys. Carl and I kept exploring the hotel's floors, before deciding to race each other down the first floor's main hallway, sort of right next to the lobby. As we're laughing and speeding down this hallway, we run past this room with the door wide open, and since I was running at full speed, all I saw was a bunch of shiny things all over the floor, in front of and in the doorway, and a big blobby blur in the middle of it all. We get to the end of the hallway and ask each other what the hell that was. We sneak back slowly and peer around the corner. And in the doorway of this room, there's this really obese man laying on his stomach, with his chin resting on his hands, like he's trying to be cute. And all around him, he's got silverware and tiny metal trinkets laid out. When he noticed us, he smiled weirdly, but didn't move anything besides his torso to face us a little better. We sprint back to my parents' room, but they're out getting food, so we're alone. We freak out and make fun of the situation for about 15 minutes, then decide to go back down. On the stairway from the second floor, we run into that same group of boys from earlier. One of them asks if we saw the weird guy down there, and when we say yes, the guys start to freak out. Apparently, one of the kids tells us that his little brother, not sure how old, had been walking down the hallway from their room to the other end of the first floor to the vending machine, and that weird guy called out to him and stopped him. The man then asked the kid if he wanted him to come into his room and offered him one of his weird trinkets. The kid had the good sense to say no friggin' thanks, but what the hell was that guy trying to get a kid into his room for? I think the hotel manager eventually stepped in and made the guy close his door. I hope the kid's parents complained and or called the police. I was too young to even realize how messed up that was. So to make light of it, Kyle and I nicknamed that guy the Wiggling West Virginia Spoon Man. And this made for a really wild story that no one believed when we got back to school after the break.